sometimes dies with them.
In my 27, pushing to 28 years at this police department, we never had anything like this happen before.
This is the story of Athalia Crayton, aged 46, an Army veteran who was shot dead alongside her 3 kids by her mentally unstable Hollywood actor husband Robert Crayton Jr., aged 45, in the early hours of the day at their High Point house. Athalia had called the authorities several times to the house in the past for some domestic issues before he finally killed her and her 3 kids. Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories.
Grace, thank you. We move now to the death of a High Point family over the weekend. Police say a man shot his wife and 3 children, then turned the gun on himself. Tonight we're learning more about the moments after they died.
This story will be taking us to the city of High Point, North Carolina. High Point is located in Guilford County and is part of the Piedmont Triad. High Point, North Carolina is notoriously known as the furniture capital of the world. High Point is your go-to destination for all things home furnishings. Athalia Athena Crayton, 46, is a Jamaican-American whose family originates from Kingston, Jamaica. She grew up in Miami in South Carolina. Athalia, or Art as she is affectionately called by family and friends, also lived in South Korea, Pennsylvania and North Carolina. Successful in so many aspects of her life, Athalia was a veteran, a sergeant of the United States Army, and served honorably in the 2nd Infantry Division as a heavy equipment mechanic. In addition, she was a business owner, certified life coach, interior designer, and student at NCANT University. Most importantly, she was a dedicated mother to her 3 children. Her kind heart spills onto her children, who she loves so much that she'll go through hardship for a season to make sure that her children flourish, is how her niece described Athalia as a mother. Athalia married a man named Robert Crayton and they had 3 kids named Nasir, Nyla, and Kasim. Kasim was 18-year-old at the time of the incident. He was an artist who was popular on social media. This is one of Athalia's message to her son Kasim. "I'm so proud of my young king. He has a vision for his life and has been putting in the work to become successful at it. Do your thing, young king. I got you 1000%. Robert Crayton Jr., age 45, is a Hollywood actor, born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm an actor as well. I also do voiceovers and stand-up comedy. I look forward to working in all aspects of entertainment. I love the everyday grind of continuing to grow in the entertainment business.
He has performed in events since childhood, such as Mr. Bojangles, singing in the choir, small films, plays, and just plain entertaining his whole family at reunions. He performed in many films, such as Let the Church Say Amen, The Game, etc.
I played Derwin, and he's a guy that fell into the mix with them pretty much. A little kooky character, but Derwin's a good guy.
This is the U.S. Open of dirt track racing.
I don't care what you're saying. We're not going to enter a race for the money.
Can we just hear what he's got to say?
What I'm saying is the top 10 earners, they in the big race automatically. The rest of them got to qualify the race. And your boy, he can drive. Yeah.
Typical household quarrels would happen in their house, but sometimes it would get out of hand to the extent that the police would be called. Things then get back to normal afterwards. Prior to this sad incident, the police had been called several times. On January 7th, officers said they received several 911 calls just after 7 a.m. about 2 people, a man and a woman, who were on Mossy Meadow Drive asking for help. The man said that it was his father. He woke up, and there was a gun to his head. Somehow he pulled the magazine out of the gun, and they escaped.
911, where's your emergency?
Hello, there's someone knocking a lot of times in front of my house saying someone tried to kill them.
The cops were then directed to a home where they found Athalia, Nasir, Nyla, Kasim, and Robert Crayton Jr. all shot to death. During a preliminary investigation, they realized Robert Crayton Jr. had shot his wife and children for no reason whatsoever and then decided to hurt himself.
We are following breaking news this Monday. High Point police just identified 3 of the 5 people killed in Saturday's murder. Investigators believe 45-year-old Robert Crayton Jr. shot and killed his wife, Athalia Crayton. We're told Robert died from a gunshot wound. 18-year-old Kason Crayton was also killed. 2 juveniles ages 10 and 16 also died. A press conference will be held at the High Point Police Department this afternoon at 1 o'clock.
Not to reiterate the timeline, I think most of that has been pretty well established. I do want to say that the investigation is moving forward very well and expeditiously. We have been in contact with the affected family and they are cooperating with us fully. And as the chief said, there is some information that we are going to hold back. That's just to protect the integrity of the investigation. But at this time, I am at a point where we can announce that the offender and one of the deceased, Robert Jeffrey Crayton, is being looked at as the primary person who committed this act. We will also release, and I think it's been put out in the updated press release, his wife, Athalia Crayton, age 46, and one of the children, Cassine Crayton, age 18.
The press release said that 2 other people inside the home escaped. Were they related to the victims?
That is correct. We aren't going to release their names at this time. 2 surviving victims did escape the residence. One of them is a direct relation and the other was an acquaintance. Yes, ma'am.
Can you release as to how they were murdered? Was this gunshot, stabbing, strangulation?
Yes, I can release that the deceased did die of gunfire. Yes, sir.
So the 2 kids ran out of the house around 7 a.m., but do you know what time the incident actually occurred? Did they find it when they woke up? Did it happen a long time before that, or did it happen?
It happened concurrently around the same time when they exited the house. Part of the investigation that we're going to be looking into is the timeline of occurrences that happened inside the house. But the time that they exited the house and sought help from neighbors, it was all occurring around that same time.
Do you possibly know what led up to this, why it transpired?
No, and that's going to be a piece of the investigation, and I've expressed this to the family as we may never know why. What goes through the hearts and minds of a person that would do this sometimes dies with them, but we don't have any indication right now as to the why, but that's part of what we're looking at.
Did Robert have any known mental health issues?
We have information from the family that he was suffering with some mental illness. We responded to the house in January of last year where he was served an involuntary commitment. We are still looking into past involvements. I can't speak to as the reasoning under the involuntary commitment, but we do believe that it was taken out by the family.
Conference on January 9th, officers confirmed that he had a history of mental health issues and that an involuntary commitment had been served the year before. Investigators later interviewed the 2 people who had screamed for help at the house. One of the 2 resides in the home and the other person was a visitor. According to records cited by Twisted Crimes, officials had received calls to the home in 2014, 2016, 2019, and January 2022. Prior to this weekend's incident, the most recent call to the home was January 3, 2022, when officers served an involuntary mental commitment order. According to authorities, a motive is still being investigated. If you want to support the Crayton family during these times, they have an official Facebook page and GoFundMe account where you can help them with funds. If something had triggered Robert to have committed this heinous crime, no one would know for sure. All we can speculate right now is that he has mental illness, and that could be a big part in why he did what he did. Our sincere condolences to the friends and families of Athalia Crayton. May Athalia's memory be a blessing for her family and for all who knew her, and may her life and death be an inspiration and a turning point towards justice and increased protection for domestic abuse survivors and gun violence survivors. Please stay safe out there and see you guys in the next video.